Hey, we're waiting on you. Hi.
I should have totally been
Hi.
recording then. That would have been
Hi. We're waiting on you. Hi.
would have been
Hi.
awesome. All right.
I
Hi.
do try to learn from my mistakes.
But it happens like every other week, so not
I didn't say
really.
I learned well or quickly, but I'm trying to learn.
No, he
Or
said
you
he's
take
trying.
oh, or
He
you
didn't say he
learn and you take no
was.
action is the other. That isn't that really the answer?
Well,
That's just mean. All right.
Yep.
Let's do the intro.
Okay, let's
Please.
do that. Please. Any second now. There we go.
Welcome to Everyone Racers.
A show designed for the world of low-dollar racing.
An oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of Lemon-Champ or Lucky Track Dog league you run.
SCCA or NASA.
We don't discriminate.
As long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions.
Tips, tricks, as well as news and notes.
It's from the world of amateur endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot,
Hella sweet or we're lucky enough. And Chrissy,
Chrissy,
And I give you just the tip
we're sure you'll giggle a little.
and learn even less.
everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for joining us for another boring BMW episode of our podcast. It's episode 320. The BMW 320 was a car manufactured from 1937 to 1938. It was offered in a two-door saloon and convertible. Approximately 4,200 cars were made, of which 1,835 were cabrios. It was very similar resemblance to the 329, high performance car with many admirers. The 320 was built on a shortened BMW 326 frame, used a 326 engine with a single carburetor and an output of only 45 horsepower at a top speed of 65 miles an hour. Hopefully you're not puttering that slowly all along, top speed of 65. Check out the bingo card. Never know what's going to come up. And now you know. Do, 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 do. What you working on, Mental? Oh, what? Did you have something to say about
I
that?
say it wasn't really puttering in the mid 30s. Like that was doing okay.
Yeah, 65
I
miles an hour in the
guess.
30s. Oh my God, we're going to die.
I think it did have a windshield, so there's that. So I
Yes.
think, and like doors that didn't slope all the way down, so most of your body could actually fall out of the window. So there's that. Okay, fine. You're right.
It was a long weekend. Like anyone who worked for the government had a long weekend. So I got a bunch of yard work done. Then I got some work done on the Miata. I had a birthday celebration for a dear friend, Jason LeDuc. You will check out his podcast, The Leader's Mindset. I think we still have a link to it in the show notes. And ideally, he'll be doing something, a project with us in the coming year. We're not going to make $1 on this, and I don't want to, but I got recommended the Chemical Guys interior care kit from the person that owns the Porsche, Chuck, and I use it on the Miata. I'm not exaggerating. I know you're a leathery pair of folks, but immediate improvement in my seats. I mean, they just immediately felt nicer and the car smells fantastic. So if anybody's interested in that, it's the Chemical Guys. You can find, like, they had a whole kit on Amazon, and it was sunny while not really hot, but I get the top down, let the sun get in the seats a little bit, gave them a good cleaning. And then they had a cleaner and then a conditioner. It was really, really awesome. And I've been getting the brake light on the car because the fluid was a little low. And I figured while I was in there, I would just go ahead and flush it and replace it with a higher performance brake fluid. I'd purchased a bunch of stuff for the Mercedes that ended up not going in it. So now my street Miata has .5 brake fluid because
Hopefully not real .5, hopefully 5.1, because .5 is silicone and actually is non-compatible with other fluids.
Okay. Well, so next weekend I'm going to be flushing my, but I flushed all the old fluid and put new fluid in there. I did.
Well,
yeah.
Seriously, check. If it's 5.1, you're clear. If it's 5, just .5, it's called silicone brake fluid. It's only redeeming qualities. It does not absorb moisture, so people use it in classic cars and Harleys and things like that. But it is not mixable with normal stuff at all.
Well, now up
Just
on
be
everyone
careful.
makes dumb repairs. Yeah, because I bought it from FCP Euro, so I feel like I'm gonna have to do a brake fluid flush.
If you got it from FCP, you're probably okay.
Okay.
I don't think, but if you get, you get it, like I I only know because I have it in the MG because we put it in 20 something years ago, and that was the thing to do in old cars. And like to find it, the only place you can really find it is that for like Harleys and things. For some reason, they use it. It also doesn't eat up paint if it gets on it. I think that's probably why Harleys use it, but it's fundamentally worse as brake fluid, but it lasts and doesn't suck the water in it anyway. So, but
will it boil? That's the whole reason.
It will boil. It will boil, but the problem is if it mixes with normal, like .4, .3, normal brake fluid, it's bad.
Say like if you're filling your
reservoir
and flushing out old stuff.
Yeah, you basically need to clean the whole system out and to switch it over. So please check. That's all. I don't want you to die, Fred. That's
what happens? Does it explode or just not stop the car?
I don't think it explodes. I think it just becomes like a mucky, like a poor quality fluid that doesn't do its job very well, and probably
okay.
No,
ideally,
it's not going to catch fire or anything, but your brakes
right.
may not work very well afterwards, or it might gum stuff up and you have to replace a bunch of things, especially in a modern car with ABS and valves and whatnot. So
yay. I've been driving for 2 days. Well, by the time everyone listens to this, I'll have the answer.
Yeah. If you got it from
on
FCC,
next week episode, if he is not here, then
which is okay. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Up next on the ever shrinking cast of Everyone Racers.
Oh, wah.
Well, hopefully your end of season maintenance went better than mine.
It did, actually. We did end of season maintenance on the Mazda too. And it so after the
it's a Mazda 3.
It's Mazda
also.
Also, yes. So fortunately, the Mazda ended up the season in pretty decent shape. It needed a right front wheel bearing. They're starting to go, which actually turned out to not necessarily be the bearing part itself, although that was over a year old, but the hub inside the bearing. I've seen this happen a few times. The hardness had worn off on one part of it, and it was basically wearing down the hub a little bit so that it wasn't perfectly snug in the inner race of the bearing on one part. So that's why I keep spare hubs from all the other junkyard knuckles I've had. Just pulled one out of the stash in the basement, pressed the ARP studs in to put it all back together, got that all in. I had to tighten up the strut top hats. Those were getting loose. That's what the movement we were seeing in them is the actual nut on top of the strut itself was loosening up. The right front lower control arm bushing was softening up after only being on the car for one race. So that's going back to Rock Auto. They're giving me a warranty refund on it, but they are not giving me another one of that brand. They're saying, keep returning this. So I bought another brand. So we'll try that this time because it's not the same part number.
You were
so
wondering if they were going to
flag their system, right?
Yeah, you were.
We shall see. So the Delphi ones, they're no longer letting me warranty quite as easily because I've gone through several.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This guy.
What else? Blew all the water
drives
lines
really
out
hard on that one.
Yeah, I know. I blew all the water lines out for the cool shirt system and the pump and all that stuff. So we got everything there and tightened up. Remember, for those of you who don't remember, when we were in New Hampshire, the left rear wheel bearing bolts backed off. So I said, I should check those ones on the right side. Guess what? I put 1/8 of a turn into all 4 of those. So
new checklist item for when it goes up on jacks on Saturday nights. Yeah.
At least I think it's a every race checklist item because that car it was gone quite a long time. That I think it was more than 2 years since I replaced those bearings. So it's not like they loosened up overnight. It was over time, but it is definitely a post-race item to check now, among other things. Mazda only really needs cleaning, oil change, trans fluid change. That's about it, but a good thorough cleaning.
You mentioned the cool shirt. Local friend of mine here bought a Lotus Cup car, and it's being carried to and from the track by a local outfit here. They were at Chuckwalla, and he just spent a bunch of money updating the belts and a bunch of other safety equipment. It's his first track purpose-built car, and the guy said, "Hey, you need a cool shirt." He's like, "I'm not spending any more money." He goes, "Dude, I'm buying the cooler. I'm putting it in there. You're going to be happy. If you're not, I'll pay for it." And they're at Chuckwalla in the middle of it while he's getting strapped into the car. He's talking to him, and he reaches over and he turns on the switch, and he's, halfway through a sentence, and he goes, oh my God, this is wonderful. And he starts laughing. He goes, I told you wanted that cool shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially in Chuckwalla, which is usually it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere in the desert.
Yep.
It's the only cold thing there. What else they do? I finished up grouting the front walkway pathway thing, so that actually looks very nice now. I'm happy with how that ended up. Did some spot painting on the siding on the porch after putting the siding on, and I flew the plane some and got signed off to solo, so I flew the plane by myself. Yay, fun. I did not crash, still has 3 wheels. Everything's
and you
fine.
went faster because there was nobody else sitting in there.
Yeah. Amazing, with a Cessna 150, your climb rate improves dramatically without the passenger in the plane.
That's a double-digit percentage of weight reduction right there.
It is. Absolutely.
Did you actually have to recalibrate your CG?
I mean, yes, technically, but I mean, taking a person out is only going to help it, really. So yeah, it's but wow, 800-foot climb rate. That's great. I'm excited. Yep. So that's fun. Now I'm waiting for another time when the weather's okay on a weekend, so I can go fly the plane more, work more into my 10 hours or so. Though hopefully, I was hoping this weekend, but the wind is not looking conducive to a 150 for a student pilot. Gusts in the 20s. It's like, nah, it's a little much. And that's it.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I went to work. Then I went to go visit my nephews. My mom was taking care of them while the fam was doing other things. And then Sunday I visited some friends, hung out with my BFF Allison and her girls, and went to a winery. And yeah, overall pretty relaxing, pretty productive weekend. No car work. So yeah.
Very nice.
Great. News and notes.
So, as the title of this article itself says, self-driving Tesla. Boring. Check out this self-driving Toyota Supra.
Oh gosh.
Alice Leans at motortrend.com has the latest on a story we covered last year. Toyota made a 600 horsepower Supra that destroys tires completely without input from a driver or even a need for one. An engineer sits in the car to initialize the process and drive the car back to the start, but with the dedicated hardware and software processing inputs 20 times a second, Toyota Research Institute, aka TRI, built a car that hoons itself. Why? Because Toyota's experimental development lab sees high performance as the benchmark for its ideas. From the article, quote, TRI presumes that humans will drive in various capacities for the foreseeable future. Subsequently, it asks how technology, with an emphasis on artificial intelligence, can be used to empower and amplify drivers rather than reduce their control, end quote. And a new quote, and I, for one, welcome our new robot car overlords. I would like to remind them that as a beloved podcast personality, I can be helpful in rounding others up to toll in their underground tire caves.
That was actually, it's in, and I didn't want to stop you because you were on a roll. It's a self-drifting Supra, not a self-driving Supra.
Got it. I mean, well, it drives itself.
Oh, I was all exciting. Oh, okay. I was all excited about
drifting Supra.
Self-driving Toyota Supra.
It self-drives and it self-drifts.
Okay.
It's a floor wax and a dessert topping.
Now, in other not shocking news, Peter Holdreth at The Drive tells us that, brace yourselves, the Maserati Quattroporte is still the undisputed king of depreciation. And what you already knew is provable with data from a new study. As Peter says, quote, the Quattroporte in particular, though, with its exquisite mix of Italian reliability and electronic gizmos, is the poster child for this phenomenon. And what that equates to in numbers is over the span of 5 years, this Ferrari-powered sedan drops an average of 64.5% of its value. That is roughly $90,000 off the average list price of the car, which this year starts at about 105 and gets up to 155, depending on your trim level. Hello, buy here, pay here lot. Finishing out the top 10 of that list, 2 more Maseratis, 3 BMWs, the Jaguar XF, Escalade ESV, slowest depreciation, Porsche 911, the Cayman, your usual suspects from Subaru, Toyota, and Honda. But providing some contrast, the Jeep Wrangler and Chevy Camaro also depreciate slower than most. Now, a link to this article, as well as the original IC Cars article, is in our notes. For context, I we reached out to Eric Root. And while he acknowledges there are many Lemon folks, including actual European car technicians who have the skill to fix one of these and could probably get one for legitimately close to free, why would they spend their weekends doing that? Quote, any Maserati is asking for a tough weekend, but a 20-year-old Quattroporte has to be about the most worthless car in this country. A base model Maserati from 2 generations ago, and that's the 2003 to 2012, is pretty believably a Lemons, especially if it's got that Italian-built dual clutch transmission. Good luck with that.
That's awesome.
You know, I investigated these before we bought the CLS the first time,
Yeah.
and just said, no.
I recognize that there are just cars I'm going to end up owning. There's still cars that I want to own. I'm still going to finish off like 2 more on that high school parking lot dream checklist. I'm going to end up with a Corvette, but as soon as I get a lift, I'm going to buy one of these depreciating boat anchors, and I will be ecstatic when I finally send it off to the junkyard, but I'm going to do that experience. Just a couple of months ago on a thread that I'm on with the folks out of Colorado, our former guest, Jeff Hanka, he found an engineless, transmissionless one for $500 in Utah. No title, of course. I'm guessing that one got parted out, before that buy here, pay here contract was wrapped up, but there's one coming. There is going to be a Maserati that's going to show up at a Lemons race.
As long as it has everything. It's a hat car, then maybe.
I mean,
where's the fun in that?
A Quattroporte with a completely mundane engine in it would be would win all the trophies. Like, you put an Iron Duke in your Quattroporte.
Okay, see, thank you. I said those exact words in that thread. And Jeff, because he's a GM weirdo guy, he's like, I have done all the work on a race weekend I will ever do on an Iron Duke. But yes, you rock up.
Something like that.
Yeah,
like Ford 300 straight 6, like a, truck
carbureted.
Oh yeah. Right.
Michael, are you listening to us? Something out of the 40s, flathead 6. We're just saying.
Yeah. Although, this is one of those, if you don't speak the language at all, the Maserati Quattroporte sounds very exotic, except it's just exotic. Maserati 4-door. That's all it is. Like, they could have been a little...
There's your theme right there.
We are
Italian rednecks.
Our names. It's sedan. Yes, Maserati sedan. Yeah.
Oh, you changed accents there, but I'll let it go.
I did.
Okay, that's fine.
Trying to gloss over that.
Sorry. I know. Only because you're good at 3 accents. Anyway, okay, we've talked about We've talked about self-driving taxis in the Bay Area before, but now from the Hustle Daily newsletter, they're parked in Purgatory. Now those autonomous taxis are under extreme scrutiny, to the point last week GM's Cruise recalled 950 of its robotaxis, and the project has lost about $1.9 billion since January. In August, California allowed both Cruise and Alphabet's Waymo to operate entirely autonomous services in San Francisco. The mobile Cruise cars blocked traffic. One got stuck in wet concrete after 2 collisions, including one involving a fire truck en route to an emergency, California demanded the Cruise slash its fleet by 50%. In October, a hit-and-run accident flung a pedestrian into the path of a Cruise vehicle, which did pull over but dragged the pedestrian 20 feet. 2 months ago, San Francisco asked the state to reconsider its both companies' permits, citing 261 incidents involving Cruise and 85 involving Waymo between April 2022 and April 2023. Both companies have admitted layoffs are coming.
And I didn't think about this when I wrote it. You know what Cruise and Waymo should have done? Made them drift.
Only because we just talked about them. Also, I'm surprised no one's died. It's great. But if they're coming this close, they probably should have shut it down a little faster than that. But hey, what?
I hope that the pedestrian was okay, because it's like, oh my God, a hit and run, the worst thing ever. Oh, thank God, robot car is here to save me. Wait, robot car, no,
Yeah, right?
robot car.
I laughed out loud when I read that. So sorry, the person who just got drugged by a car that you can't stop because nobody's driving in the first place.
Where's my orange cone I normally carry?
What did we
I can
say
throw
earlier?
it on the hood.
Right. What do we see about for welcome our new robot car overlords? This must be a trend in the news
Although,
this week.
It's 20 feet. The guy got dragged. I would hesitate to find a actual normal person who would drag the person less than 20 feet if they get hit by the car.
Sure.
While they're going.
But
that's
still.
a fairly good. 20 feet is like the size of the room you're sitting, like less than the room you're sitting in.
I mean, but also if they just flung you out of the car and then they're going to drag you. Well, if you don't know that you're going to get flung out of the car, I don't know that you can tuck and roll. So I feel like whatever. They probably were hurt. I'm very sorry. Also, probably unexpected because you're like, well, I'm not really sure if you're going to stop.
Now, and to be clear, the robot car didn't hit them. Another car hit them.
Right.
Through them. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Right. But they still flew out of a car and then got drugged. So I feel like you're like, you still get.
Yeah. Seriously, bro. What God did you make angry?
What, Chris?
Nothing. I just don't think it's that bad. 20 feet is if I got hit by one car.
So says the insurance man.
And they were able to stop within 20 feet, I would be happy.
That's the insurance man talking to you, the safety person talking about getting flung out of a car and then getting drugged.
It's the first incident is the one that's really the problem, is getting flung out of the car. That's the unsafe part. The fact that the second car was able to stop, regardless of how it was controlled, within 20 feet.
Check off your bingo card. Chris talks about insurance.
It's not insurance.
and
we sure as hell don't insure
about
those.
Safety person. I literally feel like this is one of those boomers versus millennials. and I'm the Gen Xer going, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. I just
Oh, we're punchy today. Okay. America. You know what's more American than a dang old Camaro? Two dang old Camaros. RacingJunk has a Camaro Mustang Challenge car build, then totaled at Road America. Then another clean Camaro was purchased before removed all its doors. This is your new winter project. It's got 18 pictures because they're pros. It's in Virginia. Ooh, it's close. And it can be yours for $3,750. $3,750.
Yeah, this the engine in the car that got wadded up is legit. The guy lists all the mods.
Oh,
it's a shame seeing that clean of an IROC. You know, not cruising at the Dairy Queen and laying rubber in front of the Burger King, but you'll take what you can get. But yeah, this is for somebody that's ready to build a serious project. It's got a little garage space. This is a hell of a deal.
Wow.
Plus, then you get to go do burnouts in the Circle K parking lot.
Hell yeah. Because this is America and I pay my taxes.
Where's a Circle K?
In the South somewhere.
There are no Circle Ks anymore.
Sure We've got Circle Ks. Yep.
Oh. Well, you're going to have to drive your dang old Camaro caged from Virginia to.
And you can argue with other
Las
people
Vegas.
about, is it better to do donuts in the Circle K or the Dairy Queen parking lot?
Depends on how big each parking lot is. Sometimes Dairy Queen has weird parking lots because they kind of like stuff them in the back of places, and then you don't really have a parking lot. So
like the new Dairy Queens they don't have like a dine-in. They're just the drive-through models. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
They do the burnout in the drive-through as they hand you the Blizzard upside down.
I don't know if that's a great idea.
To test to see if your Blizzard is exactly as it's supposed to be.
I love Blizzards. It's a great idea.
All right. And if you've got an opinion about a car that would be much better to do those burnouts while holding your Blizzard upside down, you could find it at racingjunk.com. And if you use code POD23, you get that pro membership super cheap. You get like 5 ads and 50 photos. You find out who's tracking your item, and you can post all those pictures and videos of you doing the burnouts in the various parking lots on that one. All kinds of discounts in the clothing store. Christmas is coming up. You've got like that gearhead friend who you want to buy something for, but you don't want to spend that much money because they're just going to get it dirty. They got clothing, all that kind of stuff. Check out racingjunk.com. Do some joy scrolling. Send us what you would purchase off of RacingJunk to go do burnouts, no pro streets. Yeah, but
I'm gonna.
All right. Lucky Dog is wrapping up their season with their 1,000 miles of Thunderhill. It is the Top Dog Championship and the Chrissy Lewis Memorial Race presented by Hawk Performance. And they're using the Thunderhill 5-mile track with a bypass, cumulative, the Park Fime, where they park them Saturday night, make them start over. And Charlene actually did get us the entries.
Oh, get out.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't look there.
I stupidly did not open them up until just now. She actually got them to us a while back. But this is 2024 is the 10th year of Lucky Dog Racing.
Crazy.
They have added Rockingham and North Carolina for the Southern Cup, and they are coming to the Pittsburgh Race Complex at the end of October. And they're doing, it's a joint venture with Lucky Dog in Canada. They're working on their date for Brainerd. So you Midwestern folks, they've enjoyed coming out there. They'll be coming through there, but they've got their calendar up. It is a great time. We enjoy Lucky Dog. You should check all of them out. They crowned all their winners and everything like that, but Lucky Dog Racing, that's a good time. And they are moving out there. So Pittsburgh, I don't know. You feel like maybe a Halloween time frame? If it doesn't,
the weekend after.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't have the date.
See where they got here. October 26th and 27th. It's a 7+8 enduro.
Oh, it's right after.
It is.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough turnaround. New
It
Hampshire,
is going to be
Pittsburgh,
Just a little.
one weekend. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
All you had to do this time was tighten some bolts and the car was ready to send it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you always know that as you leave. Otherwise, you leave the car, leave one track with the car with a broken motor. Go, oh no, what am I doing?
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well. All right.
Yeah.
Ready?
We don't have any recent results. Sorry.
No, there's not.
Nope.
But we do have listener feedback. And on
Yay.
the YouTube from our last episode, Mike K corrected Mental's spelling. It's Project Farm. I remember at the time you said it, you were on a roll. I wasn't going to try to stop you, because once you're going, you're going. But added, it was enlightening just how little sideways pressure it takes, referring to the jack stands test we mentioned in there. But yeah, they don't have to get too far over, but it takes a fair amount of pressure to get them over there. But I did also watch that jack stand video. It was great.
Oh, and it's good to know. You're under there wrenching on there, and here comes your neighbor. Hey, buddy, what you working on a car? And goes to lean on it. Hey, get off my car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, they were pulling it with another car. Like your buddy leaning on it isn't going to do anything. Would recommend still though, shake your car while it's on the jack stands before you get under it.
Right.
Also, put the wheels you just took off the car under it to give you just that extra bit of
As
cushion.
long as you're not doing anything under.
Yeah. So it doesn't crush your, chest when it falls.
Yeah.
Sajeev said, Spec Ranger, why you no dominate?
Mm-hmm. On the gram, Too Much Metal said, for the record, I'm Team Chrissy. Chris needs to make a highly informed poor decision and buy another Miata.
Yep. And the Mayo arguments are not over. Fucking Mayo. On the video of Mental sucking down that Mayo packet, we've got a few answers.
Steph Schrader said, hey, now that's like a fun size packet. Mayonnaise chugging deserves a full shoe. And then she threatened me with a full bucket of mayo.
Even that's too much. Jim B said mayo is the devil's seed.
No, that's Miracle Whip, Jim.
That's true.
That's goblin cum right there. Yep. Elizabeth, the manager of Spring Mountain Motorsports Park, said, quote, I need to implement this.
Wow. Okay. Our buddy Steve N said that would have been me too.
Kevin A said, the Japanese approve.
BM Wilt 89 said, poor Mental. I'm sorry, are you new to this show? Apparently. Wow.
All right. We bid Happy Veterans Day to everyone and asked everyone who works with an organization to post up. Tim B mentioned that the PGA HOPE Program, which stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere. It is a flagship military program for the PGA Reach, which the charitable foundation for the PGA of America. PGA HOPE introduces golf to veterans and active duty military to enhance their physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being. A link's in our show notes. Super fun.
It's a legit organization. Anybody that's helping folks like that, I'm a big fan of.
And also think about Ranger Road and Battle Scarred. We've had their Jeff from Ranger Road on air before, and we saw him out in Texas. They were doing a great job with their effort there. And links for them are in our show notes as well.
Yes. Now, finally, I got some lovely meat space feedback from our listener, Jason. Quote, I like the show because they're focused on being great drivers and the outcome is secondary. Thought y'all might appreciate that one.
Because we keep losing,
Yeah.
but that's fine. Yes.
Damn it. Yeah.
We're not losing as much as we're just not winning yet.
Okay, great. You know what Ricky Bobby would say differently, but I'm okay with it. That's fine.
Yep.
Yep. Guys,
All right. It's this week. Jalopnik posted an article where they interviewed 15 locals and visiting people, and overall the whole response from them was negative, and they're all mad at F1, and Vicky's on a bunch of Vegas local pages, and it's not even people that are that local, and they're all complaining about it. And there was a post just the other day because they've lit the entire track up, and someone who lives near the MSG sphere said, thanks. Now I don't get blinded by the sphere. I get blinded by the lights. But we are talking about Formula One here in Las Vegas, which you've got me on record as saying last year that it was never going to happen. And I was wrong, and I don't care. I'm excited for it. The tickets that I was going to get didn't quite come out, but we're looking at a lot of cheap stuff, and we are going to talk about some of those opportunities. If you haven't made travel arrangements or you're within driving distance, there are some bargains to be had out there. But this is, I think, just going to be us giving hot takes on Formula One in Las Vegas. We've been talking about this on our Slack channel. So,
well, I mean,
you got a hot take.
A year ago when this was out, we're like, this would be so great. We're going to have 25 people sleeping in Mental's yard.
We made a whole plan.
People were going to be on the roof. It was going to be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
The prices came out and everybody said
$4,000 now.
I got to
go to Canada instead.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to Monaco. I'm going to Canada. I'm going to Austin.
I told all my friends, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to Vegas. My friend lives down the street, so I don't have to pay for parking. I'm going to go, and it's going to be awesome. And they're like, that's so cool. And then, the price, I was like, not going to that.
And that offer still stands. You can come to my house and not pay for parking. I'm 4.8 miles from the track. You can walk up there.
It's not as fun.
Or is it? And because there are some really cheap tickets right now, not through Formula One, but through some of the secondary sites, you can get tickets to practice and qualifying for practice for $170 a person.
Where can you see the track?
This is along the main pit, like road, those bleachers that they built just off of Harmon Avenue.
So not the standing room only in a flat section, so you can't actually see anything.
You literally see the person be
exactly.
back of
no
head of
hills
people
in Vegas.
You could see a retaining wall and a fence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So let's back up. So there's so many articles. Jalopnik is on a roll. I think I read 3 different ones in the last short while because they're all over the place on this one. Okay. So you've been talking about this for a while. So what have they done? I did read at least one article about all of the improvements. They bought a whole bunch of land, build the pits. So obviously it looked like that was going to happen because they're making a lot of very established places that I don't know that they can use them for anything else. So tell us about, the town now. What is the impact that you see? So
I've been avoiding downtown, like the plague, because they, all the construction, everything goes on there, and they've got the normally up to 4-lane wide Las Vegas Strip down to 1 lane. Last week, a friend was in town, and we started up. It was on a Tuesday night. I figured it would be slow and quiet enough to where we could get there, and we got close enough. And I'm like, no, not doing this. So we've been driving around it. There's some other construction that was actually already scheduled, so that's not helping, especially along I-15. That's neither here nor there, but they took an abandoned lot. It was a nightclub that had not been occupied in over a decade. That got demolished, and the rest of it was a vacant lot, bit of urban blight, and they have built the paddock. They do claim that they're going to be able to use that for meeting space and other events. So I hope that they can, and I hopefully with enough to pavement there, because they still actually do a karting championship here every year, and either they use a parking lot or they use the Rio or the Palms to do that. But Will Power of IndyCar fame will come out here and run that event. So hopefully we'll see some of that heading up over there. So if nothing else, they cleaned up one part of the city. Now there's a lot of complaints that they cut down the trees at the Bellagio to build the high roller kind of grandstands there by the fountains. And people are complaining that they can't take their picture by the fountains anymore, which is ridiculous. You just walk around the corner, walk up to the Bellagio. It's a slightly different view. They're still doing the fountain shows. They have actually, because the entire race, all the practices, all the qualifyings are going to happen at night. So there is the metal trellis like around a stage completely on both sides of the circuit all the way around the track. So that has been built and installed. It's actually kind of cool to see. But in doing so, they've blocked off some of the sidewalk, and it is a little challenging to get down there. But
they created like an island in the middle of the city with this, right? And didn't they make a new bridge from one spot?
They did. They have built 2 temporary bridges, one traffic bridge and one pedestrian bridge. There is no way I am driving over one of those temporary bridges. I'm sorry.
Are they really
worked in construction too long?
That temporary? Like they looked in pictures, they look pretty established. So that's why it looks surprising that, I mean, somebody must have rated it for a car.
Yeah. And very similar to Monaco, right up until race day, they're going to be reopening the roads and then clearing them out because, the practice and everything is taking place at night. I know that I'm a transplant, but 90% of the city is transplant. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a unique course that no one else is going to. Naturally, Max Verstappen, being this 2-time champion, has already started bitching about it. I do not like this course. It will not be fun. And really, what he's mad about is he knows that all the Mexicans here in Las Vegas aren't cheering for him. They're cheering for Checo, who also is notorious for doing quite well on city circuits.
You're jumping ahead.
I am jumping ahead. Sorry. But
you just had to say you had to throw Checo in there.
Had to throw Checo in there. They've made some temporary improvements, but they've made some long-term improvements. And there's a lot of people complaining about the MSG sphere, which if you haven't seen it, it's literally a giant ball that is a projector, and it's down by the Wynn hotels. I think it's really cool. And when the race came, their construction schedule got cut in by 2/3, and they got it done ahead of time so that it was ready for the F1 race. So there's 2 good things right there. They've removed some urban blight. They got another construction project ahead of time. And I will throw a 3rd thing out there that a lot of people don't realize. The Culinary and Hospitality Union, which is everyone that does the maid service and everything, and they cook in all these hotels. It's a very, very strong union, and it keeps people from getting exploited here in the city by these large companies. They had not had a contract renegotiation in about 10 years. And they were threatening the strike, and they came with actually some very reasonable demands as far as benefits and scheduling and hours. And the threat of a strike, with the 3 big casinos here in town, they managed to get everything they wanted without having to go on strike. So there's 3 good things that it's done for Las Vegas.
Excellent.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the sphere.
There's some positive there. Yeah.
If you're looking at the sphere, find one of the animated ones where it's the big emoticon, the big yellow, smiley face, because I don't know how they're doing it. I should probably just research it, but the eyeballs will track the airplanes as it flies over. It's hilarious to watch.
I'm just looking at all the things it can do.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I didn't realize it seats 18,000 people and costs over $2 billion to build.
And U2 has a residency there now. They were the first people to get a residency. Yeah. They're going to be filming actually some films there because it works as a good backdrop. And it's a really neat little piece of tech. And I find it ironic that the giant sphere is called the Madison Square Garden sphere, but
why?
That's what MSG stands for. It's the company that owns the Madison Square Garden. They built the MSG sphere,
which is originally New York. Yes.
Right. But that's like
the wrong side of the country.
Why are you stealing names? There are not enough names in this ever.
We didn't steal the name. The company that built it was.
You stole the name.
We can do a square garden.
They were uncreative.
Can we do a sphere?
Shh. Sure.
If they called it Madison Sphere Garden, that would be funnier.
Oh,
But-
why didn't they do that?
Right?
It's okay.
But that
would've
would be
been
like
better.
ATM machine, Madison Sphere Garden Sphere.
Well, you
Oh,
wouldn't have to call it Sphere. It would just be the Madison Sphere Garden. It's like it's a mashup. It's a fusion.
I feel like that.
so much better.
Why didn't you come up? Why didn't they ask you?
All right. Hey, Madison Square Garden Corporation, when you guys take that idea, all right, it's documented. It was our idea. We're not asking for much, just a Porsche 911 Pro Cup car and a season at IMSA. That's all we need.
Sounds good. That's fair.
I like that there's an article that's called "A Disruptive New Entertainment Venue."
Yeah, when the people that have condos right there, they were like, I haven't slept in 3 days. Make it stop.
Yeah, because they could like make it looks so real. Like there's a basketball and a tennis ball, and like it looks just like
I have Sauron.
I'm
all
looking.
kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've heard people talk about it. I'd never actually taken the time to look at it. I would Google it if I were you, listeners that are listening here and don't know anything about it. Okay, so we talked about F1 in the town. Pros and cons of having it here. There, near you.
No, and because we're talking about the town, in my opinion, because I live here, but you guys are bigger F1 fans than I am. And I am legitimately an F1 fan, but especially you. What are your takes on that? What do you think, a pro or a con or both?
I think pro, it will be a cool visual of the cars racing up the strip. Con, I think the track is boring as all get out from everything I can see, because it's another street circuit and another city. It's boring. I'm tired. I'd rather they raced in like Portimao again than this, which is a wonderful, cool track. Yeah, I think they're just grasping it. They're viewing this as that game where you send in the phone booth with the dollars and the fans, and you just try to grab. That's basically what they're viewing this as.
Oh,
Oh, okay. All right. I was like,
Right.
where are you going with this? All right.
Yeah, in the game show, you stand in the phone booth.
Totally. And you end up
gotta grab the
catching,
money.
but you only catch it like $3 because
Well, see, that's how it's working. They just thought it was going to be like, I'm going to get all this money, and then
And you know,
like
it's
the 8 people bought the $8,000 tickets, and everyone else is like, screw that. And now the places that stocked up on them are left holding the bag. And which I'm really happy to see Ticketmaster and some of those others that may have bought a lot of tickets for this now losing their shirt on some of them. That would be great.
you'll never see me cry for Ticketmaster.
No. They're
No.
one thing universally hated. Like, people hate them more than the cable company. Like,
And they're I'm telling you,
oh,
yeah.
Ticketmaster, like, oh, I love Comcast compared to those assholes.
and
Yeah.
Taylor Swift doesn't like you, Ticketmaster. You are
Right.
doomed. T Swift says you're bad. You're bad.
Yeah.
So the only pro that I'm coming up with is that it's another American track to try to get some more American people. The issue
But
is
no one can go.
I know that's literally you didn't let me finish my sentence. Yes. And actually there was another article that I passed through today was the rich are out, the rich, the poor, and the middle class. Everybody loses at this race because the rich aren't getting what they like to get. I guess their 8 rich people got their eight rich people tickets. Nobody else can go see it, and anybody who could
People
afford to
tickets.
go see it can't go and are annoyed that they can't go. Like, we had plans to go, and then you're like, okay, well, we'll fly across and we'll see you, and it's gonna be great. We can't wait to go. And here we are gonna go literally to America's Hat to go look to go watch a race when we were gonna go make a weekend and come see you and go see a race that we can't go see. Also, there is so much, and Chris, I know you agree with me. There's so much about Las Vegas that I can't stand. It is the casinos, the manipulation, the marketing ploys that happen, and I think F1 is capitalizing on that, and they're like banking on that. That everybody loves to see the strip and everybody wants to come here because it's America's party place. And I think they just are thinking this is going to drive people there, and everybody is just left annoyed. Mic drop.
I don't find fault with your cons in that it's a different place, but I'm going to say it's a pro because Liberty Media is used to being the big gorilla in the room. And they came here with a lot of ridiculous demands and, oh, you're going to pay me $1,500 per person for your venue. And by the end of it, they were paying just a flat rate of $1,500. And I think it was an opportunity for Las Vegas to go, we know how to deal with you guys. You know, we do fight promotions. We do the NFL draft. The Super Bowl is coming here. You're not going to win this fight. So I feel like to a degree, Las Vegas got to remind everybody that they were Las Vegas. And this is a place for conspicuous consumption. And it was a really good quote I read today in an article that it says the strip, the Las Vegas Strip, that is not for Las Vegas. We benefit from it, but it is for people out of there. So they do feel some ownership to that. And I feel like that's a legit complaint, but it is a place that is created for people that want to be seen spending money. And while that might be morally repulsive, it's a place for them to come do it. And there are people that are making money off of someone making this conspicuous consumption. So I've got no real beef with that per se. Yes, everyone that wanted to come out here can't come out here. I feel like next year it is going to be much more reasonable and it is going to find that equilibrium. It is a terrible business model to start cheap and then ramp up your prices. Everyone knows that. So you start stupid and then you start marking it down. It's the Walmart rollback model. So I think you're going to find the tickets getting, and somewhere there is a computer collecting all this data, and they're going to know right where to price these tickets next year to get the correct mix of tourists in here and doing that. And I do share that opinion after having met people that were in Miami going, oh, there's no way we could have gone the first year. And they're mocking Miami too, but I think Miami's finding their way, and it's a neat little fun race. I say the Pro, yeah, it might be a boring circuit. I've driven that road. There's no elevation changes per se, except one where as you're coming around onto
is it that man-made hill that you
you have to
man-made hill.
Yeah, you have to go down because you're by the wind. I have to go through there and right as you're taking the left, it gets you right back onto Las Vegas Boulevard. That'll run you down past the fountains. I feel like the same reason with, I enjoy these street courses. I like Azerbaijan. I like Monaco. I like these not computer drafted, perfect, rhythmic, tracks. And I would say like the last one of these is really like the remnants of Spa in Belgium, which is, a track that just kind of came to be out of roads, on the Formula One circuit. Everything else is just these over-engineered. The whole track limits discussion that they were having at COTA, where, they have to pave these all the way through and the guys were driving off the tracks because that's their job, is to eke as much speed out of there as possible. This one, there's a little bit more of consequences if you don't stay within the track limits. And I feel like the course itself is going to be wholly unique. Whether or not that translates to entertaining, we will know this time next week. I think it is. Chris thinks it won't. And I bet we all have an opinion while we're live chatting you guys, Chrissy will be asleep while we're live chatting during the race.
That brings me to the next thing we're going to complain about in this race. What's up?
East Coast. This is terrible for East Coast.
It's not terrible for East Coast too. Like, it's so late. Like, you have to wake up early in England to watch this stuff. Like,
which is why they did it. They wanted England to be able to wake up early and watch it, or Europe to be able to wake up early and watch it, than having to stay up late on Sunday night.
3 a.m.
That's their market.
3 a.m. I'm not staying up 3 a.m. I'm not.
But their market is not on the East Coast. Their market is in Europe, and they have at least they're dancing with the ones.
F1 hates East Coasters.
Yes.
Except for Miami and Quebec. So both, that is not true. Yes.
And Australia. Australia is like probably great for you guys.
I don't even know. I don't remember either.
Yeah, it's like, because it's Saturday night, 10 o'clock here to watch it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, then that would be.
No, never mind. Yeah, it's probably terrible for you guys. All right.
Yeah.
The cons of having it here. Yeah, obviously there's some growing pains, and there's a whole lot of stuff like Chris said, Liberty Media is like, we'll go to Vegas. We'll all be gajillionaires. And a lot of people went, well, what are you going to do about this or this or this or this or this? Maybe you should have talked to some people that put on events in Las Vegas, and you should have had those conversations sooner and more often. You guys would be in a lot better spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they did. I saw another article because I feel like I'm sorry I said that so much. But they were saying about Liberty Media, and they were on an earnings call, and they were talking about just how much money they were going to make. They were like, we're just going to make so much money. This is a lucrative prop.
Nope.
I don't even remember
Nope.
what the words they said, but they were all over it.
There are people that come to Las Vegas and end up making a lot of money, but people don't come to Las Vegas to make money. Hoover Dam just down the road, that's not paid for by the winners, folks. This is Vegas. We know how to make money. Liberty Media, you can get what's left over. I don't see that as a con. I don't pay state income tax. I love it.
Okay. What's the excitement and hype like? What is it on every billboard? It's on every. You can't get away from it. If you hate F1,
yes,
you better
absolutely.
leave the city.
Went to Vicky and I went to the Cosmo. We have like a little Saturday date. We go there, we get something to eat. That's our thing. And they were already selling the merchandise in there. The Mercedes golf shirts that we all have, because we're people of taste and refinement, $105 in the gift shop. That is not what those cost at Monaco.
I bet people were buying them. Nobody buying them at all.
Not in the Cosmo. Now they did set up the F1 fan zone. They're going to have exclusive merchandise, and that's going to be over at the Venetian. I think Vicky and I are going to try and check that out sometime this week, where hopefully it's a little more reasonably priced merchandise over there. And they do have some of the pop-up shops, but like in Monaco. And I don't know how it was there when you guys went to Montreal. Monaco, they just literally, it was tents. They would set up and they were selling the Williams merchandise and the McLaren merchandise and all that. And they're not going to do that along the strip because we've already got stores. They're just going to set them up inside the casinos. We haven't seen all those yet, but there is no one who doesn't have an opinion on it right now. It is unavoidable. Sure. It is in everyone's face and everyone says it's horrible or it's awesome. And yeah, so there is a definite buzz about this event.
Is there other things like that? Is there anything that's been like this? Are there, because I know you have big bands, you've got like fights you were talking about, like, are there other things that people hype like this that everybody's got an opinion about?
The NFL draft, where they like had an island in the middle of Bellagio fountains and like boated the folks out there and back, that was like a big deal. The Stanley Cup, and then the Stanley Cup parade, the WNBA aces. We also, for the second year in a row, Las Vegas is now the national champions of that. So to this level of buzz, no, but buzz and excitement, absolutely. Yes, we've had it before. The Fontainebleau is finally opening, and this has been an eyesore on the skyline for 30 years. So there are other things that are going on. The downside, I think, with everything that they had to do and all the adjustments that the city had to make, means there's no supporting races. So I'm not going to see the F2. I'm not going to see the F3. I'm not going to see the Porsche Cup either. And I do enjoy some of that.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Ferrari. Yes, Ferrari. I'm sorry.
So, but Lando Norris is making a public appearance tonight. Checo hasn't left Mexico yet. We're watching. There's a golf.
Do you have a little
it's like the Santa tracker?
Exactly.
I was going to say
find Checo.
I was going to say find my friends. Like I make sure that I know that Chris is on his way home, and you're like, where's Checo?
So yeah, Toto Wolff announced today that he is going to allow no one from the Mercedes team to go to the casino floor. Come on, Toto. Let your team have some fun, at least after the race, I hope. Ken Kodak's coming. Ken Kodak's come down here. He's going to be flagging the race. We're going to hang out on Monday. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Lemons Ken, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one.
I do think it's very impressive how they got that whole pit building and area built in like just over a year. Like that is a really, really big project. And to get through all of the design, permitting, construction, inspection,
building on top of and other things that used to be there.
Yeah, if you consider from actually when they broke ground to get it built, it was less than a year. And I am impressed. I'm impressed that they got the lights up. I am impressed that they got the strip repaved for all of it. Yes, I am. I think it was a impressive superhuman effort.
Okay, hopefully it works. So
aside from not wanting to stay up to watch it, but But what would you, are you guys just, okay, another US race? That's like the end of your excitement about it, or? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, kind of. I
All
mean,
right.
we'll
Yeah.
watch it.
All right.
But
Oh, we'll watch it.
It'll be the next day. Like we'll wake up in the morning and go,
Well, we'll do
let's
every
watch the
day,
race while we
everything
make
a
breakfast
day,
and-
right? A day later. So we'll
Yeah.
do we'll do it all a day later.
If we don't end up getting tickets, Vicky and I don't end up going tickets, I'm going to go to the old Vegas over off of Fremont Street, to the Circa where I normally watch F1 and watch it there, and then maybe be able to hear it, because and we'll talk about this in a second. I'd been saying I was going to watch it from my pool, but it's going to be at night. It's going to be cold. So
Oh, that was another thing that people said that they didn't realize how cold it was going to be. They're like, well, it's the desert and it's always hot there.
No, that's the point of the desert. It's not hot at night, actually.
Obviously,
Yes,
somebody
and,
missed that.
Yeah,
That's
let
going
me
to
see
be
if I can
interesting.
make this work. So what we have, really, we're okay. It's not going to let me. Oh, there it is. Okay. And sorry, I'm trying to maximize my screen here. So here is
An
the
audio
weather.
show,
It's an audio show. So today it was just under 50 degrees when I woke up. So but Friday it's going to be 71 during the day and 53 at night. And this is after they do the practice. Saturday, 71 and 50. Sunday, a low of 48. So it is completely possible. And these forecasts have been updated, but yesterday they were predicting up to a 40% chance of rain.
Weird. They're like, it's not going to rain because, again, we're in the desert. And you're just like, oh,
it's an El Nino year, so we're screwed. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
Mental thought when he pulled the roof off his house and didn't put a new one on for a while. It's like, it never rains in the desert.
Why didn't you just call me? I would have told
time.
you guys. It always rains when you don't expect it to. Absolutely right. And it wouldn't be that the F1 cars couldn't handle the rain. The problem is the Las Vegas Strip cannot handle rain. Any sort of extended rainstorm.
Oh, because it's going to flood.
It is 6 inches of flooded water. And they were making jokes about routing them through the basement of the Link Casino because it is actually built as a floodplain. There's a flood control channel, and they'll use it as a parking garage. But if they know it's going to rain, they shoo everybody out of there, and it's hilarious to watch.
Wow,
but
that's real. That's a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that. Somebody, at least one person was like, oh crap, like you probably didn't realize how good that was. And how, like, because you need to have a plan B through M here, right? So what happens if any of these things happen and somebody probably just said it's not gonna rain?
It's Las Vegas,
But
which means next year the tickets are going to be super cheap, the weather is going to be absolutely perfect, and no one's going to come. So buy your tickets now for the 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix. It's going to be a deal, man.
How about 24?
I'm sorry, 24. Thank you. Yeah.
I don't want to skip a year. I would like to go next year. You just told me to go next year.
Yeah.
All right. So, but let me kick that question to you because we talked about the weather. I jumped ahead on that one. Chrissy, what do you think the race is as a connoisseur of F1? What do you think this race is going to be like? Do you think it's going to be like every other street course? Oh, yay, Max. Let's just watch the battle for a second.
I mean, yes. Even if Max doesn't get pole, it seems like it's just a matter of time. That's what just about every race has been. Just about everyone. We had one or two that didn't happen. Max is mad because he doesn't think he's going to do well. Blah blah. Yeah, and I think it has potential. I feel like street circuits have the potential, to be a crash fest. It has potential for us to have red flags. So what kind of are there cranes everywhere? Just pick up a car and take it right off? Or how is removal happening with so much? Okay.
No, that's a valid question.
Nobody can see Mental's face of what just happened.
At Monaco, they had the trucks with the cranes on them.
Right.
They literally rolled up, wrapped a tow strap around the roll bar, lifted it, threw it on the truck back up.
Right.
I would think
they
staged those cranes everywhere already ahead of time so that no matter basically anywhere on the track, they can pick a car up immediately and get it out of there.
And it's not like we have a shortage of construction cranes in the city.
But I would imagine it's got to be the same way because you can't there's no runoff, right? So everybody's going to have to stop, and red flag might turn into actually endurance racing red flag because if you got stuff all over the place and they got nowhere to go. I just, you have different risks when you run into a street circuit, that especially one that's not necessarily meant for that. I guess, places like Monaco, I feel like you're expecting that's going to happen. So you figured it out, but this is not, people haven't figured it out necessarily. So,
that's the same thing in Azerbaijan. You hit the wall, and everyone just kind of drives around you,
right,
figures
or
it out afterwards.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're gonna watch. I'm not betting on anybody else, so every time we've had a couple of different pole sitters, but it hasn't gone well. So I'm not really sure that even if Max doesn't think he's good at it, if that's going to make that much of a difference for what's actually going to happen.
I'm excited that it's because it's all new and because it's going to be cold. It's going to be hopefully a little different. But we might get, maybe this is the race Ferrari shows up again because it's a track maybe kind of like Monza. It's got long straights and low speed corners. So the people that like Red Bull is very good in kind of medium to high speed corners. Aero to aero package works really well. We don't have any of those this time. So which cars is that going to benefit? Like this might be great for Williams, that is historically a very slippery car in the high speed stuff, but not so great in those, when it needs the downforce. So things like that, I think that'll be interesting. Pirelli is probably shaking.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. You're right.
It's either going to be awesome or terrible. Awesome or terrible, man. I don't know. I don't know.
And they've had a rough year in the first place.
Yeah. Then the track is going to change a lot as the weekend goes on because it's all fresh pavement. And
Very
so
fresh,
it's not, and there's no support races, so nothing's rubbered in. So over the course of the weekend, everyone's figuring out the lines. The track's going to rubber up. The times are going to change a lot. Things are going to change. It's going to be dynamic.
You're right.
And those who can respond to it are the ones who are going to do okay.
And the buildings themselves are going to affect some of those aerodynamics if you get even the slightest wind. It's going, because it does tend to channel down through there. So I think there's probably some nerds on every one of the team that are really excited about just the uncertainty possibility on that one. I would argue too that even with the repave, this is not going to be a smooth course by their standards, which means all the cars are going to be raised up a little bit. I think that plays into, especially now, the new Mercedes. I think that plays into Mercedes' hands. And I agree with you. I think some of the back, your traditional, I don't want to call them back markers, but your other teams where they are really having to eke everything out of that car. I think you're going to see something interesting from the Aston. And if Ferrari shows up, that's going to be a lot of fun.
I heard that Leclerc is already excited about this course. Just saying. Don't know if that helps any. I hope that Williams does well. That would be awesome if he can get on podium.
On the news today, they mentioned that the famed Bunny Ranch, the legalized brothel just outside of Las Vegas, will offer free services to any F1 driver that wishes to partake. And I love that level of naivete that says that any F1 driver doesn't get it at any time they want.
But then they could say that they've been there. So that might be it. But that's hilarious. I mean, I'm pretty sure, whatever. That's great. I'm sure that's funny. I'm sure there's a lot of services that are available for any F1 driver that wants something. Sure.
We the other thing, I help out our friend John Polnick, and I do the Bid Nerd show, and there was a Mercedes recently on the Mercedes Benz MB marketplace that part of the hype was they had loaned it to Lewis Hamilton when he was in Miami, so he drove it around. And absolutely, this is just one of those stunts that those kind of guys pull, and Lewis Hamilton's like, oh yeah, cool old Mercedes, yeah, I'll roll around in this thing. And it was one of the last of the AMG being separate from Mercedes AMGs that they built, and they had the pictures of him doing that. And I was it's a shame I don't have the AMG anymore, because hey Lewis, just come drive my car, it'll be great, and he would have gotten in and then asked if I ever cleaned it at all and what was the matter with me. But and just the bevy of services that are available to these guys, it does crack me up that they think, yes, what, these guys probably don't get any sex. That's, I bet no F1 driver just has any sort of sex at all.
if they chose not to.
There's a vow of chastity that comes along with it.
Yes. I'm sure that's probably like, one of those deal breakers. So what do you do for a living?
Yep. Ooh, no, sorry. I gotta see my friend over here.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, it'll be great.
We've been hinting at this. I think this is an opportunity for Mercedes. I think Checo has traditionally done well on tight street circuits. He does well when he has to fight through traffic. This has not been his year, though. I feel like, there's a lot of pressure that's on him on that one, but I am a bit blinded being a Checo fan. I think
don't bet on him and he has a chance.
I was going to say, I was like, where's your status now? If bet means
No
crash
bet,
on turn one. Okay.
Right,
Just
exactly.
making sure. Okay.
So in fact, I need to go bet on Max before the race happens. So, we've hinted at that, but who else do you think, like driver wise or team wise, who do you think is going to do well? And who do you think is absolutely going to just,
I think Ferrari is going to overperform for what they've been doing recently. Not saying they're going to win, but I think they're going to do okay. So if Charles doesn't crash in the outlap, then that'd be nice, right?
That's great.
I think Albon is going to.
I like that bet.
Do all right. Again,
like
not
that
going
bet.
to win, but I think he's going to be perhaps out of position compared to normally. I think Lance Stroll is going to suck.
But then he can talk like this.
Go push his trainer. Yeah.
Right? Who does that? Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. I think Mercedes is still figuring stuff out, and their simulator is not good enough to be able to actually work with the car they've got.
I like your bets.
And McLaren's a kind of a draggy car for the super high speed stuff. I don't think this is going to be their best race. They do well on those mid-speed corners.
Ah, excellent.
Where's Max going to go? Where do you put him?
I mean, Max will probably still win, but I think it's going to be at least closer. It's not going to be Max ahead by a minute and a half.
Yeah, right. Or
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. He's pretty much unbeatable. It's going to be the Max show for at least another 2 years. Absolutely. I know.
Ugh. and I think F1 realizes that that is not helping them.
Yeah. At least when Lewis was dominant, Valtteri would come out and win stuff once in a while.
Right.
And Lewis didn't complain.
Kimi Räikkönen would go win something. And right, they had other people doing stuff.
Yeah, and he wouldn't, he wasn't complaining about it all the time. And of course, you guys saw the closing bits of the Brazilian Grand Prix, the battle between Checo and Fernando, which was
it was amazing,
brilliant,
fantastic,
yeah, amazing,
and amazing. And then just the respect they had for each other afterwards. I'm like, that's motorsports. That's fantastic.
It was clean driving, and it wasn't. I feel like if Max was in that mix, he would have made a nasty move at some point and just
right. Yeah.
Just
meanwhile, those two are
hip checked him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Meanwhile, those two are playing 3-dimensional Star Trek chess and having just an absolute great race after
while racing, for lap after lap. Yes,
watching
totally.
Fernando take different lines during that, like not hitting his apexes, but actually do whatever he could to get the best launch out of the corners because he knew that's the only way he was going to keep Checo behind him. It was not he would.
And the switch on the last lap, I think it was, or I think they switched it, or the second to last lap.
Yeah,
and that's crazy. Like it really was. That was stuff. It was good stuff, but we don't have as much of that anymore. It's just okay, cool. Max is. Yeah, cool.
I hope the unfamiliarity of the track, even if it's not for a podium, I hope the unfamiliarity of the track and the fact that no one's been here before gives us that kind of opportunity where respectful competitors can battle it out again.
I think it's going to hurt. It's going to help some of the more veteran drivers who've seen more tracks, who can adapt more quickly.
Yeah, Alonso's going to flex on this one. It's going to be awesome.
And Sargent's going to be last.
Right. It's not going to be Piastri's best race ever.
Probably not.
He hasn't seen as many tracks. He hasn't had to adapt as many. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm curious what Sonoda's going to do, and I'm curious what Danny Rick's going to do.
Flip out. That's what Sonoda's going to do.
I always wish
flips out.
Yeah, he is starting to do. And maybe I'm just imagining it, but I'm starting to see some really adaptive driving out of him. But
Well, and
Yeah.
he was in the top 10 last race, I
Yeah.
think.
Mhm.
But there's every once in a while when something happens to him, Chris and I joke about how much I wish I had the Sky Sports red button so I could follow along with this driver and hear what he's saying, because
Well, he is Australian, so he is
so
just he is
volatile.
a person of passion, and he is going to use some fun language whenever that happens.
Sonoda?
He was raised in Australia, wasn't he?
Sonoda's
Oh.
Japanese.
I know he's
Pretty
Japanese,
sure.
but I thought he grew up. No, that's where he learned English or something. Maybe all right. Or am I thinking of the other one?
Ricardo?
I would think.
No, I know
Zoo.
Ricardo. Literally, Ricardo is two Sonodas you put together.
Sorry.
I'm
Yes,
thinking of
Sonoda.
Zoo or Zoo. Yuki is very Japanese. Like his
Okay.
English when he started was pretty terrible. Even
Well, then he just
well.
learned to cuss by watching old episodes of American cop shows,
Yeah.
and
He's just
you
so
can't
volatile.
you just can't say crap. You have to go. "Oh!" Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Trying to keep us from getting that E in this episode. All right.
All right. Yeah, it did a
Hey,
good job.
All right. So before we move into this, folks, or are we done? We got more on this one? I'm sorry.
No, I think this
All
is great.
Let's go.
We get it
Let's see what
right.
happens.
We get it right. We get it wrong. Get a hold of us. We'll go through all of our social medias or just comment down in the doodly do, all that other kind of stuff. Who do you think's going to do well? Who do you think's going to underperform? Who do you think's going to get arrested? Who's going to get in the most trouble in Las Vegas? Because my money is on getting into trouble is going to be Ricardo. But then he's just going to be so charming. The cops will be like, can't stay mad at you, buddy. Run along, you little scamp.
Whatever you see, take a lot of pictures and post them up on
Absolutely.
socials, just so we can see what you're looking at and understand the inner workings of it. Not when you're seeing the track and the pictures from that are staged,
Yes.
not staged, but they're
Yes.
picked out. It'll be interesting to see what you see from your perspective.
Fantastic. Will do. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, next topic. It's just the tip time.
Just
The
No, this doesn't happen often. I can't remember the last time we got just the tip from Chris.
What? He gives it all the
I've done
time.
this a few times. Here's a good. This is a safety and performance tip that again, this show is all about learning from our mistakes. We make mistakes, we tell you about them, learn from our mistakes. Remember how our wheel almost fell off in New Hampshire from those bolts backing out? You know what I hadn't done to those bolts is I hadn't marked them. The front suspension, I had marked a lot of bolts with a paint pen. And so if you take your paint pen, you put it on the bolt and you put it on whatever the bolts do. And then very quickly, visually, you can just look around and say, have any of these bolts moved? That way you know something is coming loose. And it's very easy to do. Doesn't take long. And it makes it very easy for you to see if there's any problems. So if we had just marked those bolts and then I looked at that during a normal once over in the evening in the car, we would have caught that problem and done better in that race. So guess what I did last night as I'm under the car after putting things back together is I marked pretty much every bolt I could find under the car with the paint pen, specifically those wheel bearing bolts for the rear. So that's your tip. Paint pen your suspension bolts and other like important bolts that you don't want to come off. And then you'll know if something's coming loose on its own.
It's great.
Yep. Buy a pack of paint pens on Amazon.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
just
$10.
bought a pack of them. I want to write on everything now.
And then you can change colors too every time you go through it. If you wanted to make sure you updated it all, you put a different color, go to orange.
You can add little happy
pink.
faces and see
You
if the
can add
eyes
happy
move away from the
faces.
mouth.
It's great.
Oh, okay.
Yep, if the happy face is the right way up, that means it's still where it's supposed to be.
If the eyes don't match.
If you've turned that frown upside down,
Problems.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
What are we doing next week? Do we know?
Oh yes. Why am I even introducing this? This is all mental all the time. I can't wait to get.
But you wrote it.
I did not.
I wrote it. I just put it in Chrissy's color.
Read it, Chrissy. I had to chug mayonnaise.
Yeah. This is Mental's annual hippie thankfulness show, which I can't wait. He gets a little philosophical, talk about how thankful we are about everything. Yep. There'll be a little story and a couple stories. And
Absolutely. It's an attitude of gratitude. And if
Isn't
you've
that
got something
nice?
you're thankful for, let us know.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for downloading us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. Also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and F1 speculating, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. Free. It's worth what you paid for it. Go to iTunes. Give us that 5-star rating, no matter what you thought. 5 stars. Tell us why. We will read it on air. Absolutely. Questions, show ideas, comments, thoughts, emotional outbursts, drop us a comment on any of the places that we are, which is all of the various social medias at Everyone Racers, or email us everyone.racers@gmail.com. Text Mental, tell him what you're thankful for. 484-243-0455. Just don't tell him you're thankful for his long hair, because that's not going to work. Anyway, thanks again. Till next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless you just lost your ass at the casino because you bet on Checo. Just keep the wheels down.
That's mean, man. I still have to keep expanding this so I can stop recording. Sorry. There it is.